Hello and welcome to the PPM Playbook Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Watts, and for each episode, I will be talking to a guest to unpick the complexities of running effective programmes and portfolios of work. My company, Verto, is a veteran in this space, having supplied a programme management solution to public sector organisations since 2008. So without further ado, let's get started. Hello there, welcome to the episode. Now, I'm just recording a quick intro for this episode from me today, and that's because we're going to be showing you, whether you're listening or watching this episode, a recording of a talk that Ross Mardell, our Chief Product Officer, delivered for the first time at DigiGov in 2025, in September 2025. Now, it's really important to note that date because depending on when we release this episode, or indeed when you listen to this episode, the point of his talk was all about AI and the AI functionality that we were about to unveil to our clients by implementing it into the Verto platform for the first time. So a lot of our clients didn't even know about what was happening. Some of our clients were in the audience at the time, and there were lots of other people that had never even, maybe not even heard of Verto. So it was a really, really exciting time for us. It was very poignant. And it's also important to note the date because, of course, AI is travelling at such a fast pace. Already at the stage where where Ross delivered his talk, the AI iteration had changed several times just in the lead up to that. So now, whenever you're listening, it may well have, continued, and there we might be steps and steps ahead. But it was a fantastic moment. It was a very exciting time for us and for our clients, and so we wanted to share that with you today. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Just before I launched that, it would be great if you could subscribe to this podcast, wherever you're listening or indeed watching it from. We are, you can watch us on YouTube, you can watch us on our website, you can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you would like to comment on any of the topics or the themes that you hear about, please do. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Indeed, if you'd like to hear about something or a topic or a theme that we have not yet covered, we would welcome any suggestions. And finally, if you would like to join me on an episode, if you work in the industry or have some insights into PPM, program management, change management, transformation, anything like that, or indeed platforms that you're using or tools that you've used in the past, anything at all, it would be lovely, lovely to hear from you. So, without further ado, I will play the talk.
Welcome anyway, everybody. My name's Ross Mardell. I'm Chief Product Officer here at Verto. I've spent my entire career pretty much developing software for the public sector. I've also spent a lot of my time in 3 head of IT positions across local governments in the UK. So I've been sitting in this space for quite a while. Hopefully you have heard of Verto. If you haven't, Verto is the market-leading provider of portfolio program project systems to the public sector. Okay, we've been working really hard for the last 6 to 8 months to actually figure out how we best can help our customers to leverage AI in the PMO world. And it's a real challenge. As we all know, AI is moving really fast, really, really fast. And during that development period that we've had for the last 6-8 months, something like that, just as an illustration, the underlying technology that we're using to deliver our AI has changed 3 times in that period. That's how fast it's moving. So we're struggling to keep up with it, and the public sector is also in that struggle of trying to keep up with how fast AI is moving. Now, first of all, though, I want to talk to you, maybe set the scene a little, and give you a little chat about what the challenges are and the functionality that we've built into our product. So typically, a lot of the data on this slide is probably quite familiar to you. What are the program and project challenges? And I kind of always categorize this as it's organic growth. Okay, so you guys are doing projects all the time. You're doing projects all the time. And as you do those projects, you find different ways of delivering them. And lots of teams have different ways of delivering them, and they update their projects in different ways. But what that means is you end up with data across teams, you end up with different processes in the way they do things, and you end up with almost I wouldn't say a mess, but a spider's web of data across your organization. And that spider's web of data across the organization means it's really hard to get a grip of what your data looks like, get a picture of it that's accurate, up to date, timely, and then how do you make decisions based on that data? And because that data is essentially just data, not information, you can't make accurate decisions. And it's just the way things have grown up organically. And if you are in this position, which I suspect some of you are out there, you're not alone. This is what we see pretty much every time we go and see a new customer. Now, what this often leads to is somebody in the senior management team will often say, I need a handle on this. Someone needs to go get a handle on our projects and programs that we're running because we just have to be able to make better decisions. And so they deploy a PMO. So they create a project management office to help them to manage those projects. And there are lots of challenges of trying to set up a PMO. I'm a data guy, so I always go to the data, and I always say, it's everywhere. You've got loads of Excel files, you've got Microsoft project files, you've got Word documents, you've got SharePoint files, you've got other finance systems, and they're all stored in SharePoint, or they're all stored on people's local drives, and they're all stored all over the place. That's the biggest problem, right? It's one of the problems. It's one of the problems that you have in a PMO. Don't underestimate the cultural change involved in trying to get people to do things in a more structured way. It's a really difficult challenge, and actually we spend a lot of our time working with our customers to help them with that change management piece. It isn't just about software, it's about how you deliver change across the organization, and it's hard. And what we often find is that the project management skill levels aren't there in an organization as well. And I know I've suffered from this, is where your boss says to you, can you just run this project for me? I just need you to get it done for me. Can you get it done? I'm not a trained project manager. I'm what we call an accidental project manager, okay? And lots of people are like that. And in fact, if you look at some of the stats, I've seen that some stats that say only 12% of the people who manage projects are trained in project management. So how do we operate in that environment? How do we put a PMO in place that, one, helps people have structure, upskills them, but actually manages to get us to have data that we can make meaningful decisions about? It's a really, really large challenge across organizations. And that's where our product helps. So Verto comes in, and Verto takes all of that data and it brings it into a single place. So you have all of your typical business cases, your risk registers, your issue logs, all of those sorts of things, your tasks and milestones, your project plans come into a single system, and that's called Verto. We've had Verto for around 17 years. We have over 100 customers in public sector. And it's not just about the software, as I said, it's about the people helping you to deliver the change management as well. But where does Verto win? Well, it integrates obviously with your Microsoft platforms that almost all of you will be using. But by bringing all of that data into a single place, it allows you to make decent decisions about your data because you actually have visibility of it. Now, how do you bring that data in though? That's not easy, right? Because I just told you it's all over the place. And you have to try and bring that data in. And there's a good example of this. We worked with a central government organisation, and we said, okay, you need to bring your risk register in. Fine, just import your risk register. And say, oh yeah, but we've got a few different ones. Okay, how many different risk registers have you got? Over 50 different risk registers. Every single one of them in Excel, and every single one of them in a different format. Okay, how do you do that? How do you bring all of that data together? And so we created an AI tool for them that basically says, okay, you've got an Excel file full of risk, fine, give it to us. We'll figure out what those headings are supposed to look like and figure out how they map into a standard project tool. Okay, and so that's an example of how we're using AI to help our customers to deploy things, and we're going to extend that to it will be across the board, and people will be able to literally just go, here's a business case, right, bang, let's pull it in and stick it into a structured system. Turning unstructured data into structured data is tricky, okay, and one of those things that everybody who deploys a PMO system struggle with. So a bit more about how AI can help though. Of course, AI can go and analyse your data, okay? Of course it can, but it can only go and analyse your data if it's close to the data. So, just as a quick show of hands, how many people have used ChatGPT or Copilot in their job in the last 7 days? Okay, so I don't know, maybe 60%, something like that. But you'll know then that if you're using Copilot or using ChatGPT and you want to ask it to analyze something, you have to tell it what to analyze, and often you end up creating this really long prompt about, right, I need it to include this, I need it to include that, and I need it to include the other. And the reason you have to do that, of course, is because those systems aren't close to your data. So because they're not close to your data, they can't analyze that data, or it's difficult for them to analyze the data. And so bringing AI to your data is one of the key elements to this. Because as soon as you start to cite your AI in the same place as your data, it already knows about your data. So it already knows about every project you're running. It already knows about every program that you're running, and you're not having to tell it. It knows. Okay. One of the other things that we often find is what we call the blank page problem, where again your boss says to you, "Can you just run this project? Can you create a plan for it?" And you sit there and you go, "Right, what am I supposed to do with this then?" And you have a blank page. And you have to create those tasks and milestones that you're going to deliver for this project. And you stare at it for 5 minutes, something like that, and you just have a blank page problem. Now, where can AI help? Well, it can do a lot of that heavy lifting around that for you. Is AI perfect? No, it's not. And anybody who tells you it is not being straight with you. Is AI perfect? But can it do 80% of that heavy lifting on creating things for you and helping you with that blank page problem? Absolutely it can. Absolutely it can. One of the things that we live by though in Verto is the bottom point on this slide, okay, is that we are not going to develop an AI piece into our product that allows marketing to put a nice Verto intelligence badge on it. If it doesn't deliver for the customer, we don't do it. And I'm really clear on that. As a chief product officer, we're not putting it into the product unless it actually delivers benefit to the user. And so the AI risk input I talked about before, absolutely typical of how we work. Okay. So what I'm going to do today, in a somewhat brave move, is do a live demo of Verto. Okay. This may go one of two ways, but we'll see. We'll see how we get on. Right. It's going to be a live demo. I'm going to show you a couple of things that we're bringing that we've just brought to market. One is what's called our Verto Data Insights. Verto Data Insights is essentially one-click AI. How do you do that? Well, at the moment you guys have to create these prompts and you have to figure out what you want it to ask in order to get a sensible response, and you might have to mess with that prompt 3 or 4 times before it gets a sensible response back. One-click AI allows those project managers who aren't necessarily skilled at doing prompts to be able to click a button and get some intelligent information about their project back. Okay. We think this is going to be absolutely huge as our customers start to roll this out, because they'll start to understand things about their data. And not only that, the AI will make suggestions about the things they should be doing. You might want to think about mitigating this risk like this, or you might want to think about mitigating this problem like this. Okay. And that comes out as in the one-click AI. And that helps to, again, upskill those project managers who are in the business who aren't trained in project managers. Then I'm going to talk to you about Verto Intelligence Partners. So Verto Intelligence Partners is our agentic AI. Okay, so what we've done is essentially we've created 15 AI personalities, and you can see them on the right-hand side of that slide. Okay, so if you want a risk manager, an AI risk manager in your system, Ruby Risk is going to help you. Okay, so we've given them a name as well, so they have a personality, and you see all of them there are listed as professional as personalities. Okay, when you start to play with this, you can set them as pessimistic, you can set them as funny, you can set them as optimistic. Our risk managers are typically pessimistic. Our IT managers are also typically pessimistic, and our project managers are usually optimistic. So you set up your team with the personalities in the AI how you choose to have it. And you can add as many of these agents as you like, but they provide expertise into your system. And it's not just a badge and saying, oh, he's the risk manager. They are actually told and given context to say, you are a risk manager, you are an expert in your risk field. Here is how we structure risk in this organization. Okay, and so they understand, they are genuinely experts. So if you want to know about finance, add Frank Finance to it, and he will act like a finance manager in your system. Again, they're not perfect, but if you want to have a chat with an AI about what they think about the risk in your system, do it this way. They can also help with the blank page problem in our agentic. So you can say to Frank Finance, I'm running this project, I've got a budget of £6 million, how do I portion that across this project and the tasks that I've got in this project? And he'll have a decent stab at saying, okay, based on things you've done in the past, based on projects that look like this is how you might want to apportion that budget. And if you want to, then go and add those costs into the system and put them into Verto for you. And again, it's helping with that blank page problem where you've started off with a blank page and you have nowhere to go. And it's like having a dedicated team around you and helps those people. We all have resource issues within government here, and this helps to add that extra level of resource when you need it. Does it replace a human? Absolutely not, but it helps you to do that. So this is now where it gets a bit risky, when I'm going to move into a live demo. Let's see what happens. Bear with me. So I'm just going to log into Verto. So what you're seeing now is a project inside Verto, and you see you've got various navigation items down the left, which are sections, and then we're actually seeing the project data. So if I look on the right hand side, it's all the areas of a project. So you can see costs, you can see benefits, you can see tasks and milestones, we can see risks, actions, dependencies, all those sorts of things. The usual things you'd expect to see when you're running a project. And of course we have a status. What's the status of this project? Everything is fine. Okay, is it though? Now, on one-click data insights, you see this little icon here. It might not be very clear on some of these screens, but there's a little grey icon there, which is our Verto Intelligence icon. If I click on that icon, what the agents are now doing is they're going and reading every single project update, every task and milestone update, every risk update that's happening in your system, and then it's having a think and saying, okay, based on that, what do I think the overall project status should be? Okay? Based on all this information here, does this look like this project is everything is fine? And in this case, it's come back and go, no, it's not. It's not everything is fine. I think it might need help. So it's saying this project is definitely not fine. You might need help doing this project. Not only that, it's providing you with the reasoning why it thinks the project isn't fine. So some of you at the back probably can't read that, but it'll be coming back with things like you've got tasks and milestones that aren't running. You've got risks that are unmitigated. You've got high level risks that you're running. You're overspent. All of those sorts of things are considered, and it will come back in that response. And often we find that project managers are going to go, yeah, I didn't think of that, because they're not close enough to their data sometimes. And so they go, oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. I need to go look at that. But again, we can say accept the suggestion there. If I push OK, it's now changed the project status for us, and it's put that narrative into the project, so I don't lose track of it. And it will have noted in the background that that was added by AI, but Ross accepted it. One of the things we have in Verto is unless we explicitly tell the system to do something, the AI won't just add it. So unless we specifically said go add it, it won't go just add it. Unless we explicitly said go change it, it won't go change it. It always has to have a degree of human interaction. Now we also have that, we can apply that control to pretty much any drop down that we see. So I can look at my risks, and my risks are currently at a status of might need help. But what does it think about my risks? Now, it's not going to look across the whole project like it was doing before. This time it's just going to look at my risk profile. So it's going to look at all of the risks I've got in the system, the updates that have been made to those risks, and make an assessment of what it thinks the risk profile looks like. And as far as it's concerned, again, we've got this one wrong as well, and it thinks we should be sitting at red. So actually this project is in pretty bad shape, because overall it's amber and its risks are red. So we're not doing terribly well on this project. So that's what we call our Verto Data Insights. It's a single-click AI solution for project managers, and in fact anybody to use to go and see what their data is doing. I'm going to move quickly now onto, I realise I'm running out of time, I'm going to move quickly onto what we call our Verto Intelligence Partners. So I'm going to add a chat. I'm going to call it SLT chat. And to this chat, I'm going to add Carol Coordinator, I'm going to add Ruby Risk, Frank Finance, and Peter Project. Okay, we thought long and hard about these names, by the way. So we're creating a chat that contains me, but it also contains 4 specialist partners. And we can start chatting. This is now an interface you'll be familiar with. It's like ChatGPT or it's like Copilot. So what prompt have I told it? So you do have to give it a prompt. But I've said, I need to go to SLT today and provide them with an update on the project progress. Could you give me an assessment of the project from your perspective? And Carol, could you then summarize them for me? Okay, so what Carol has done, who's the project coordinator, and she's going out to each of those specialist agents and saying, okay, Ruby, what do you think of risk? Okay, Peter, what do you think of projects? Frank, what do you think of finance? Okay, I can add as many agents as I like here, but for the sake of speed, I want to do that. And then Carol has then summarised and gone, okay, here's what your project like, you could take that to SLT. I couldn't really, it's not enough detail for me, so I can say SLT will want more detail. Could you expand, please? And hopefully Carol now will take a bit more of the narrative that the guys put and add that to our SLT discussion and give me something, there you go, that I could take to SLT. Okay. So expanded project feedback summary, here's the risk assessment, the project management, the finance perspective. Now you see you've got these underlined things in here as well. So those underlined things where the AI has come back is actually pointing to an object in Verto. So if I click this, it will take me to a risk that Ruby has highlighted. So there's the risk that Ruby has highlighted. I click it, I can go straight to the risk and I can edit that risk if I want to. Okay, so it's not just returning me narrative, it's actually returning me data blocks as well that I can action. So that's a little bit about just how we can summarize data. Now let's talk about how we might be able to fix the blank page problem. So again, if I go to my James High Road school, so I've got a blank project here, literally has nothing in it, has a start date and an end date, it has no tasks and milestones, has no costs, it doesn't have anything in it at all. And I'm going to go to Verto Intelligence and I'm going to add Carol Coordinator and I'm going to add Peter Projects. I need him to be working on this. And I'm going to say, call it planning. And I'm just going to say, let me just go grab a prompt. Okay, Peter, who's the project manager. We need to put together a plan for this project. Could you give me the 10 high-level tasks that we need to complete and the start date and the end date so we can get this school open by July 27? Okay? And it's come back and it's gone, okay, right, there you go. There's a draft plan on how you might be able to do this. I can then say, can you add those, please? So what the system is now going to do, it's going to take those 10 suggested tasks and milestones. Oh, sorry. Yes, add them. It can be a bit chatty times. Add them, please. What Peter now is hopefully going to do is instruct the Verto system to go and add those 10 projects. So it's acting like an agent on my behalf and adding those 10 tasks and milestones to the system. So as it's going through, what it's going to do is going to go, okay, are there any tasks and milestones that can overlap here? How do they fit into that Gantt? I need to hit the timeline. What makes a sensible stab at this? Now, is it going to be perfect? No. And is it going to have all the detail you need to build a school? No. But it's going to give you a framework that you can start working on then. It's done the top 10. Right, now you can start to hang things off it. We could have asked it the top 20, the top 30, and the more we ask, the more detail it would have got. And we can just go back and have a quick look at that. So if I now go back to home and tasks and milestones, and you can see we had nothing in there before. And now we've got a decent Gantt that shows, okay, and here's how you hit your timeline. So that's an illustration of how we solve the blank page problem. I'm just going to go now into what we call a program, because we so far just talked about projects. If I look at my property stream program and just go to the hierarchy here, so you can see there's a property stream program, and we've got maybe 10 projects that sit underneath that property stream program. So, of course, the Verto AI knows about the whole program. It knows about everything that's in the system. So if I want to, I can say at a program level, go and look at everything that sits in my program, all the projects that sit in them, and let's find out data that's associated with the program rather than those individual projects. So I'm just going to go and edit my program, and I'll go into the VIPs area in here, and I'm just going to add a chat here, and it's going to be alignment, I'm going to call it. I can't spell alignment. AI doesn't mind about you getting your spelling wrong, by the way. I'm going to tell it to include your hierarchy, so it's going to go and look at all of those projects that sit underneath it. I'm going to add Carol, and I'm also going to add Polly Program, who is a program manager, to our chat. And here, and this is one of the interesting things about Verto, is not only does it know about your projects and your programs, but it also knows about your organizational context. So it knows that it's operating in a council, and it knows what the strategic objectives are of the council. It knows what its savings target is. It knows what its budget looks like. It knows who the chief exec is, and it knows what the management structure looks like in the entire organization. It just knows that already. And so when I say to it, okay, can you tell me how this program aligns to our strategic objectives? It's going through and it's going, okay, I know what the strategic objectives are. I know what all those projects are. Can I figure out how they align to them? Now, you'd like to think as you developed your projects, you'd say, how does it align to our strategic objectives? But often things happen in reverse. We're doing this project, now how does it align back to our strategic objective? And it's given me a fair stab there. Okay, right, what are the strategic objectives in the council? A strong and fair economy all, thriving communities, high quality and inclusive education. So it's telling me these projects, Trent Village Baths contributes to that first one. And then Cranberry High Road Link contributes to the second one. And you're like, really? Does it? Does it really contribute to them? Because they kind of can be, so you can just say, okay, can you tell me how you think each of those contributes to the outcomes? And it'll do more detail now. So it'll go through and it'll say, okay, that Trent Village Bath project, how exactly does it contribute to a strong and fair economy for all? And Trent Village Baths, this supports the outcome of a strong and fair economy by transforming a derelict building into a functional space that can be used for commercial or community purposes. Not only revitalises the area, but also stimulates local economic activity by attracting business and visitors. Great. And that really does show me how I'm aligning to my strategic objectives. So just so we can see what the strategic objectives are, I can say to it, what are the council strategic outcomes? And this is how you can go check that your organisational context is working. So it will now tell me what my strategic outcomes are and give me a list of them. Hopefully it will give me those 6 as well. So there you go, those are the 6 that I'm trying to align to. So what I've done there is I've shown you a couple of things. Well, one, the one-click AI, great. 2 is the agentic solution, fixing the blank page problem, having a chat, getting it to figure out what does my project look like. How do I report that back to SLT? 3, how does everything I've got align to my strategic outcomes? How are we contributing to the greater good of what the council's trying to achieve? And this is just the start. We're just scratching the surface here. The agentic can add so many different things. It can change the status of different things. You can start to really explore your data in ways that you couldn't explore your data before. And the only reason you can do that really is because the data is resident with the AI. Okay. So if you want to see more on this, please come and see us on our stand and we can do a much more in-depth demo on how the AI works. Just to flip back to my demo, to my presentation for a minute or so. Key takeaways, really. AI must benefit the end user, okay? Now, I think we've hopefully demonstrated to you today that all of those things you could walk away and go, whoa, that's pretty cool. I think I could use that. The second point, though, we haven't really talked about yet, security. Everybody's concerned about security in AI. How do we make sure that actually, how do I know that none of your other customers are seeing the AI that I'm seeing? absolutely right. All the guardrails are in place so that it only knows about your projects and programs. Not only that, it also respects all of the permissions you have in Verto. So if in Verto you only have access to 2 projects, the AI, whilst limited, can only give you the information about those 2 projects. Okay, so all of those guardrails in place. It's not learning about your stuff and then making that exposed to any of our other customers. No, it absolutely doesn't do that. And if you want to talk to us in more detail about how the security of that works, more than happy to have a chat with you afterwards. Okay, and the knowledge that it brings to help upskill your project managers, you only really get that when you start to use it. Because as you start to use it, you often get a response and think, yeah, I didn't think of that. And that just comes through use. Now, please come and see us on stand F66. It's over there. There's a few people over there who will more than happily do a full demo to you of how Verto works. Just going to leave you with this slide, which shows you all the things that Verto Intelligence currently does. So we have Verto Intelligence Copilot. So we have got a Copilot agent. So anybody who uses Copilot can ask Verto questions of Copilot, and it will give a response. We have a help bot. Everybody has an AI help bot these days, but ours is integrated into our Verto Intelligence. The assisted risk import that I talked about, turning that unstructured data into structured data, that's a really important aspect. And then the 2 things I just showed you, the Verto Data Insights and the Verto Intelligence Partners. So that's all I wanted to say today. So I've run with literally 30 seconds to spare. Thank you very much, everybody. And if you want to come and see us, please do.